Nerds, in June we witnessed one of the greatest moments in RuneScape history. Tens of thousands of y'all watched live as Foe fundraised for the St. Jude Children's Hospital, donating to see him alch his best loot, trade in his Infernal Cape, and wax his legs. The final stretch goal was one that grabbed all the attention. At $50,000, he sacrificed his hardcore status. To help raise money for sick children, Foe tossed away thousands of hours of progress in a few seconds. Now listen to him explain why it was all worth it.
I want you to listen to me here real quick. It was 3,400 hours of a video game character. I promise you that there are kids out there that would love to have 3,400 more hours in this world.
Damn, for someone named Foe, he's a real one. Hardcore Iron Men look like gods to us mere mortals who get stressed about grabbing a new anti-dragon shield before running back to loot our corpse at Elvarg.
Who is this guy? The fucking guy that does daily dose of internet for RuneScape? What is this?
It hurt to see the helm go, but I don't think anyone's ever lost hardcore status in a more heroic way. Lost Focus was only rank 525 when he died, but he went out as one of the most legendary hardcore Iron Men of all time. This video isn't going to be about Foe, however, since I don't want to take away from his own content, which you should go check out on his own channel, linked down below. Instead, we're going to talk about the hardcore Iron Man deaths that weren't quite so wholesome. With the thousands of hours, massive effort, and huge community involvement that go into some of these accounts, their deaths can be heartbreaking. Here's just a few of them. Nechs is an absolute legend in the Iron Man community. As the #1 hardcore overall at the time, he was also rank 1 in hit points, ranged, prayer, herblore, and hunter as well. To give you an idea of how far ahead Nechs was from almost anyone else, his account was frozen on the high scores page when he died over a year and a half ago, and he's still #4 overall. In addition to his absolute domination on the leaderboards, Nechs is both the creator of the Iron Man Skilling Discord and leader of the high-level Iron Man clan Olympus, so his death came as a huge surprise to everyone. Was it a disconnect at Vorkath that did him in? Maybe a misclick at the Theater of Blood like a few streamers we've seen? Fortunately for us, RuneLite took a screenshot so we can see this truly tragic scene. While chinning maniacal monkeys for prayer experience, he messed up. You see, he needed to pray Protect from melee to block their attacks, but he thought he was praying Protect from monkeys. In reality, Nechs made an honest mistake. Chinning is relatively AFK and he was raiding on an alt account at the same time. At some point he mixed up the two clients, swapped to pray magic against Olm, and went down pretty much instantly on the fattest hardcore account anyone had seen at the time. Everyone was shocked, disgusted, upset, and in general disbelief. RIPs were called, Fs were pressed, and respects were given to this fallen king. Nechs kept up with the account even after losing status, continuing to climb up the regular Iron Man ladder and holding the #21 slot today. If you want your own hardcore to be as successful as his someday, consider checking out the Skilling Discord he created, which will be linked down below. These days, hardcores don't just compete for total levels though. With the introduction of boss high scores, your apparent bravery
They compete for bounty hunter, like myself.
or cowardice is on display at all times, and if you die without much PvM experience, you might get labeled a softcore Iron Man instead. If that is the case, then all the way over on the opposite end of the spectrum is Oisbakalia, who has the hardest core of anyone to ever lose their status.
Hey Odablock, I've been hopping around the Varrock anvils for about 30 minutes trying to find Bob. Any advice? Keep hopping. Yeah?
I don't even know where to begin with all of these boss kills. A normal account with these accomplishments would be a god, but doing it all without trading or dying is just something beyond. Over 3,200 kills at Zami, 1,600 at Armadil, and 1,000 at Bandos. He lived through 680 corp kills without getting stacked out once, and took on nearly 240 Theater of Blood runs before finally falling victim to the hardcore's worst nightmare. While fighting Zarpus in a TOB trio, he disconnected and lost his status for good. While he wasn't quite at rank 1 like Nechs had been, he'll continue to hold his position in the high scores for quite some time. Dying at rank 7 at the time with rank 2 Slayer, he stuck around 15 months later, still holding up the 13th spot. This next image might not be suitable for children, so if you're sensitive to bank pornographic materials, then please skip ahead.
What?
This was his bank. Over 2 billion gold worth of loot, he got to show off some incredible drops. Most accounts will never see an Elysian Spirit Shield, full Bandos, Armadillo, and Justiciar, a Tanzanite Helm, and not one but 2 Dragon Hunter crossbows, and that's just the surface. After, dying obviously, the saddest part of the entire screenshot is the 3 Elder Mauls without a Kodai or Twisted Bow. 3 rolls on the mega rare raids drop table, and he whiffed hard every time. Still, not only was Kalia the most accomplished hardcore Iron Man at the time, but nobody has passed him up in boss kill counts to this day. Before Kalia though, there was Oziris. While Oziris is one of the most familiar faces in the scene for numerous reasons, one of the most notable is being the first maxed hardcore account to ever die. Turns out in a game mode where just a few seconds can cross your account off the leaderboards, disconnects really suck. When Oziris was working on his phenomenally high God Wars dungeon boss scores, he lost his internet at Kriara. Not only did he get unlucky and not teleport to safety with his max cape perk, but with his internet out, he couldn't even post it to Reddit for the karma. When Jagex sat his account down in April of 2018, he was absolutely stacked. A Twisted Bow, full Ancestral, and all of the best in slot boots on the most impressive hardcore less than 2.5 years after the game mode was released. His account was stupidly progressed, being the rank 3 hard.
Honestly, I'm starting to realize how good those crystal teleports are, bro. They're like so fire in my opinion, like S tier. It's such a good idea.
Core with 6 pets and huge risks even late into his account, like getting the Mage Arena 2 cape. But in the end, none of us are free from the cruel gaze of Jagex and the firm grasp of their servers. This death didn't stop Oziris even a little bit, and every time he's lost a hardcore, it seems like he's back with a new and even more impressive account a few months later. To aid in his account rebuilding, he created an Iron Man guide to follow while creating new hardcore accounts, including early multi-questing tips and skill grinds like get 99 thieving, smiley face. I'm a big nerd who followed Osiris's guide on my own Iron Man as well. I essentially learned the game through him, and researching this video gave me even more respect for the grinds that he's done. I can only dream of getting a T-bow myself one day. But what about 5 T-bows? Meet Rocket.
I'm dead. That's the end of the hardcore.
Clearly outplayed by bloat during the Theater of Blood, Rocket sure didn't leave with an unimpressive account. 1 Twisted Bow is enough of a flex, but 5 is just insulting to us noobs. Name a drop and he had it. Dragon Warhammer, all the Zenites and Serb boots, 3 full sets of Ancestral, and several Theater of Blood uniques like a Sand Spaghetti Staff and an Avernic Defender. His final stats aren't quite what Nechs or Oziris had, but he was still—
Yo, I feel like Cox should be an unsafe death for a hardcore. Just saying. I don't know, bro. That's why I don't mind mega scaling and mega boosting and all that. Because, honestly, you're just speeding up the process. It's a safe death anyways.
Still on the front page for ranged, HP, Slayer, and Magic experience, and he died at rank 129 overall. Except for Alkin, every hardcore has to take risks, and sometimes, whether it's in your control or not, you die. Despite a possibly frustrating end, it doesn't make the account or its achievements any less impressive to someone like me who lost his hardcore status to Ardy Knights. The last hardcore I want to shout out today wasn't quite like the others. He wasn't a high score competitor.
Or is it mega scaling bannable? No, it's not. That's why I don't mind mega scaling, because when you mega scale for Iron Man or a hardcore or whatever, a hardcore in general, bro, even if they die in there, it's a safe death, so it's just prolonging your purples. You might as well at that point.
Nor did he boast thousands of kills at dangerous bosses, but his death was just as heartbreaking as anyone else I've discussed today. 2 days before Rocket's disconnect at TOB, another hardcore Iron Man's journey was completed. Sea Engineer, while farming a blowpipe for the Inferno, had an unfortunate few seconds at Zulrah that ended his 38-episode adventure. His stats weren't crazy and his bank wasn't nuts, but he had one limitation that no other hardcore had faced until then. Everything on his account was accomplished entirely on PvP worlds. The account, PvP but Hardcore Iron Man, was created during a series where Sea Engineer took challenges from his video comments. Tale of Fear suggested the account, and it seemed pretty ridiculous at the time. Progressing an account that can't trade on a world where he could be attacked at any time by almost anyone was impossible. So it'd be fun until he died and moved on to the next one. But he didn't die. He kept playing the account, kept escaping, and kept sharing clips from the account until it became his most successful series. While playing the most dangerous hardcore account to exist at the time, he landed a Dragon Warhammer, Majorina 2 cape, full Carols and Torags, and even a Tome of Fire from PvP Wintertide. With a 1 billion gold bounty on his head, he was scouted, hunted, and chased relentlessly, which made many of his grinds difficult or impossible at times, and makes every achievement all the more impressive. When he finally went down to Zulrah instead of another player, it hit especially hard, and overall his death was just as heartbreaking to the community as many other top hardcores have been. In his last video, he issued a challenge to anyone who wanted to create their own PvP-locked hardcore Iron Man, as well as a threat to hunt and kill any and all of them. As a huge fan of the series, I decided to take up the challenge myself. In fact, you might have seen it already. I'm not about to go out on a disconnect like these nutjobs, so I changed it up a bit. I'm doing the Sea Engineer Challenge as an Ultimate Iron Man with a final goal of an 85 Combat Quest Cape, which no Ultimate Iron Man has done since 2007 Scape. If PvP locked series aren't your thing, and you're eager for more standard hardcore content instead, I can recommend a couple of cool what a cat for you. Rain for doing the gluff voice of myself.
How did he stop uploading his series? What happened? DC'd IRL.